Hey everyone, this is your captain speaking, and we have entered a new portal, the portal of the expanding heart. And we're going to talk all about it here in this recording. If you're new here, my name is Matthew Stelzner, and on my channel I like to talk about astrology and tarot. And lately I've been talking a lot about portals and how to navigate portals well. Recently we went through a dance party portal, and it's been a little while. I hope everybody's been doing well. We've been in the impeachment portal here in the United States, so I don't know. It changed a little bit from the dance party energy. It's gotten a little darker, I would say, but it's all about how much attention you give to things, and it's time to give your attention to this new portal. And what I'm talking about, if you don't know what a portal is, the way I see a portal, it's the beginning of a new cycle of time and an opportunity to take a quantum leap onto new timelines where you're honoring the higher powers of the universe. And the highest powers of our solar system are the planets and the massive states of consciousness that the planets represent, including the Earth, of course, the Earth and its relationship with all of the other planets, its relationships with all the other planets. And so I like to focus on the portals where we get conjunctions of the planets, when two or more planets come into the same part of the sky from the perspective of the Earth. And right now, we have a Venus-Jupiter conjunction that's forming. And right at the beginning, I want to emphasize how important I think it is and how awesome it would be to actually commune with this Venus-Jupiter conjunction, to go and observe it, because it's totally beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful things that can happen in the sky when Venus and Jupiter come close together. And you get to see those two brightest lights, besides the moon and the sun, in the sky together. And sometimes the moon comes into alignment with Venus and Jupiter, and that's going to happen. And it's going to happen around the 27th and 28th of November. So we got a little time to really get ready for that awesome moment when you'll be able to see the moon and Venus and Jupiter all right next to each other shortly after sunset. And right now, you can already see Venus and Jupiter really close together right after sunset. Look for them. They're obvious. They're super bright. Even sometimes you can see them before the sun sets. So they're about 10 degrees apart right now, and day by day they're going to get closer together, and they're going to stay close together right through the end of November. So this is a portal entry that lasts for the next couple of weeks, and it's an opportunity to begin a new cycle of time with mindfulness and intention, because portals are ultimately in your own consciousness, in your own imagination, and it's all about how you set intention with each portal. And so let's see. Yes, number one, be sure to get outside shortly after sunset, anytime for the next couple of weeks, and hopefully a bunch of times for the next couple of weeks, and especially around the 27th and 28th, when we're going to have this glorious event in the sky, a moon, Venus, Jupiter triple conjunction. One of the most beautiful things you can possibly observe. So it's already pulling us towards it. It's already pulling our awareness towards that triple conjunction, that larger portal of possibilities that will come into alignment then. And every day we're kind of setting ourselves up for that peak of the portal, so to speak. And so what do I want to say about this portal of the expanding heart? This portal of expanding hearts, plural, because it's all about all of us expanding our hearts. And when we expand our hearts together, it expands our hearts even more, because love just, it's exponential, as they say. So Jupiter is the planet that is associated with expansion for obvious reasons. It's the biggest planet in the solar system, and it has that energy of getting bigger, the largest versions of things. And it has a quality of generosity and joy and abundance. And so this is a cycle of time that's beginning, a portal entry onto new timelines that has to do with abundance consciousness. It's one of the most important cycles of time when it comes to abundance consciousness, because what feels like abundance more than your heart expanding? The moments when you recognize that your heart's getting bigger. Those are moments to celebrate and honor in your life. The moments where you see your heart getting bigger. And these next couple of weeks are a great time to pay attention to the state of your heart and to notice when it's not as big and when it seems to be getting bigger. And particularly noticing what are the settings and who are the people and what are the activities that tend to make your heart bigger, where you feel more joy and more pleasure. Venus has to do with beauty and pleasure and love, intimacy, and also the arts and music. And so when we bring these two planets together, when we see them coming together, and ideally looking at them again is what takes you into the portal more than anything else. You go and observe them and let them pull you into a reverie state where you understand how the portal is meant to be navigated for you personally. I'm going to have some suggestions here, but ultimately it's about opening to the planets and letting them send you messages of guidance, in this case, around how to have more pleasure and joy in your life. And so I've got some notes here. I'm going to refer to them because I think they'll be helpful for me. I've written down a few things that are just kind of like cues for this energy. It has a lot to do with celebrating art and beauty and music. It's like looking at the role that art and beauty and music have played in your life. How much space have you given the arts and beauty and music? How much of a priority do you make it to experience beauty and pleasure and joy every day? Jupiter wants to expand the vistas in these areas. And so one thing that I think is important at a portal entry where we're at for the next couple weeks, at the beginning of a new cycle of time, it's a moment for reflection on the previous cycle. In this case, it's basically all of this year. What have you noticed about your heart? Do you feel like it's smaller than usual? Do you feel like it could get bigger? Or do you see where it's gotten bigger than it's ever been? And can you notice the times of this past year where you felt the most joy? What were the settings? Who were the people that you were with? And how can you give more space in a similar way to those experiences and those people and those activities in the year to come? Because Jupiter invites you to let things get bigger, to give more time to things, to be more generous in the area of love and pleasure and art and music. And so one thing, Jupiter tends to honor and celebrate things. And so with Venus being beauty and love and attraction, I think it's a really important moment to celebrate and honor your own beauty and to really honor how much you love yourself, and to think about ways of acknowledging that and letting the way in which you express love to yourself get bigger. Recognizing the things that you love the most about yourself, the things that you find the most attractive about yourself, and thinking about how can you enhance those things? How can you enhance your best feature? If you've got a best feature of your appearance or how you dress, the way you look the best, in particular clothing, for example, Venus has to do with how you adorn yourself and how you beautify yourself, and also, especially, I would think your home, perhaps how you beautify your car if you got one, your mode of transport. It's like, how do you make yourself more beautiful or let yourself get more beautiful? Because there's a force of nature that is beautifying. And yeah, there's something about Jupiter Venus that has to do with flowering and the cycles of your own flowering and how you make space for your own flowering. You're flowering into your most beautiful form. And so reflecting on, when have I felt the most beautiful? In what settings have I felt the most beautiful and the most attractive? And how can I enhance those experiences or those ways of being? And yes, how can you, I don't know, I've been thinking about this as I've been preparing, and I'm going to return to my notes here just for, yeah, I've got some phrases here like the generous lover. How can you be a generous lover with yourself? But then I think you first practice it with yourself, and then it's like out of self-love, you're able to be a generous lover with others. Of course, these next couple of weeks, it's a great time to set an intention and to begin to practice being more of a generous lover with the people that you love the most, starting with yourself, practicing that generosity of love towards yourself, acknowledging and celebrating the things that you love the most about yourself, the things you find most attractive about yourself, and being courageous to let others see those qualities. And then the joy that comes when there's a kind of mutual celebration. And so, yeah, thinking about the people that you love the most. Of course, if you have a primary romantic partner, this is the kind of alignment that you really want to let your love be celebrated and enhanced and let it get bigger. And so there's like everyday ways that we express love to the people that we love the most. And then Jupiter is like the bigger ways and the bigger moments where we honor and celebrate the love in our lives. And so I was just thinking that, you know, when you're in a romantic relationship with someone, we go on dates. You know, there's the everyday kind of, you text your love and you call your lover, or you have the day-to-day ways that you express your love. But then you go out and have a date night, and it's a bigger way of celebrating. And date night means different things to different people, where you do the things that make you feel the most love and the most pleasure with each other. You do the things you love the most together. And so, of course, this can be physical intimacy and romantic intimacy, sexual intimacy. And it's a time to express in those areas in a larger way, in a more joyful way, in a more generous way, and to set an intention for the whole coming cycle. We're talking about, it's not going to be until February of 2021 that the next Jupiter-Venus portal opens to the next Jupiter-Venus cycle of time. And so we're setting intention over the next 2 weeks around how we're going to be more generous and kinder to the people that we love. Our lovers, our friends, our family, and in the ways that we can be generous lovers with strangers. This is where that whole idea of like paying it forward, it's a very Jupiter-Venus kind of thing, where you just practice random acts of loving kindness, where it's like your heart is overflowing, and from an abundance of resources, you're able to share the wealth, share the good news, share the love force, be a vehicle, a channel of the generous love force of the universe. That's what we're talking about here. And so let's see, what are some of my notes here? Setting an intention to let more love and pleasure into your life. Jupiter Venus is all about vacations and vacation consciousness. Those are like bigger ways. That's the big date night. where you go away with your lover for a week or for a month. And so it's like reflecting on this past year, and have you had these moments with yourself and others where it's like a vacation, where you take a 3-day weekend? How can you plan more 3-day weekends for the coming year, or maybe 4-day weekends? And how can you be sure that you get enough of that vacation time where you're really filling the well of pleasure and joy in your life, and then you get to draw on that for the rest of the time until the next vacation, where you fill up with an abundance of joy and pleasure again, and where in between you're working to maintain that well of joy and pleasure. You do the things day by day that keep it full, and then from that place of fullness, you're able to really share it with others. And I think sometimes during this cycle of time, you might notice or become aware of how you've actually been depleted. And it's kind of like a contrast. Oh, it's like, whoa, this is more joy and pleasure. And wow, I haven't had enough of this. And so it's like a moment to experience more these next couple of weeks, because it's just easier to have joyful, pleasurable experiences. And you want to feel pulled towards the settings where you're more likely to feel this. Like tonight, I'm going to a dance event, and it's a special one, and it's more than it's a special one. And so I'm really looking forward to it. And it's the way in which I'm trying to get the medicine of this Jupiter-Venus potential, basically. I'm going to set an intention over the next 2 weeks to try to maximize what's possible. And that's what I'm encouraging you to do as well. And so I'm going to a party where maybe I'll wear a special costume, and a lot of other people will be wearing costumes, and there'll be really cool music. There actually is going to be a bunch of different music, different musicians, and a kind of celebratory quality to the whole thing. And that's the kind of thing you're looking for. Birthday parties, weddings, vacations. Valentine's Day is a Jupiter-Venus kind of thing. It's where you celebrate love, right? And so it's like, I'm already thinking about, okay, Valentine's Day is not that far away. How am I going to set an intention to really celebrate that holiday for myself in my own way? And this applies to people who are, of course, in a relationship or not in a relationship. If you're single, then it's like, what's your intention for Valentine's Day around the bend here? And how are you going to make it special, even if you're not with someone? Maybe the intention is to try to make sure you get to enjoy it with a special person. And maybe it's like, I'm going to have my own special time. And by the way, this is a really good time to have more special foods and special desserts. And here in the United States, those dates I mentioned, when the moon is conjunct Jupiter and Venus, it lines up perfectly with Thanksgiving, which is the holiday of abundance and gratitude for the pleasures and riches of our lives, where we share generously our gifts and our sense of gratitude for our lives. And I'm just thinking, we say grace and we say a prayer at the beginning of the Thanksgiving dinner, and it's a bigger prayer. It's an expression of more generosity and more love. And so for those in the United States, on Thanksgiving, you got to promise me you're going to go outside after sunset with the people you love the most, and you're going to get that, whatever the dessert is that you loved the most. If you're, hopefully there's more than one dessert option that you're trying on Thanksgiving, but you pick the one that you love the most, and then you have a second serving of that. You take it outside, hopefully the weather's clear, and you go somewhere where you can see the moon, Jupiter, Venus, triple conjunction, right where the sun set at the western horizon. That's where you're looking, and you take it in together, and you say another prayer of gratitude together, directly to Jupiter and Venus, thanking them for all the pleasures they brought into your life, and setting an intention to share that abundance with others. And so I want to see if there's any last thing I want to say here. I wrote some questions down here. What would my life look like if I expressed more love and gratitude to those I care about the most? like where we stretch ourselves with intention to be even more generous in how we tell the people we love why they're so lovable, why they're so beautiful, why they're so attractive to us. What would our lives be like if we expanded a little bit? Not like trying to overstretch here. That can be a shadow side of Jupiter, trying to do too much and getting depleted of resources. Like, yeah, it's a great time to give yourself a gift, especially a gift that makes you feel more beautiful, like a really awesome piece of clothing that you feel like you look really great in. But it's also a time to be careful. If you don't have the resources to afford the awesome dress or the awesome whatever, then you set the intention to give that to yourself when you can afford it. But you find other things that you can afford, or the things that don't cost any money or don't deplete your resources. Those are the places where you try to be generous with yourself. And so, yes, what would it be like if you express more love and gratitude to the people you love? Like, just going to do it a little bit more. I'm going to just tell that person I love more often that I love them, and more in bigger ways. That's the intention. And yes, what would it feel like if I had one more dessert a week or a month? What would it be like? What would the timelines look like with more chocolate? I think that's a good question. Yes. What would it feel like to invest more resources, time, money, etc., in the direction of beautifying myself and my home? Giving more of your time to making your home be even more beautiful. That's awesome. Letting yourself flower, celebrating your beauty and enhancing it with makeup, with fashion, interior design. It's like when your best friend says, let's doll you up. Or you do that to somebody you care about. Let me help you get even more beautiful. That's so generous. Generous with compliments and reminding those you love how much you love them. And music and art that brings joy and celebration. And what brings you the most joy? What brings you the most pleasure? And setting an intention to do more of that. What people and places bring you the most joy? Setting intention to go to those areas more. And yes, this is a good moment to question whether you're living the good life. What's your vision of a good life? Where there's rich pleasures are the kind of dominant frequency of your life, where not that you're overindulging, but where you realize life can be really good. It can be really pleasurable, and you can laugh more and smile more. Reflecting on what's your vision for that, and how in the coming year until February 2021 can you kind of move towards that vision, a step at a time, expanding at a good pace in the direction of the good life. Yes, bringing more flowers into your home has something to do with like getting your hair styled, good hygiene that makes you feel even more attractive, that kind of thing. I think we're getting there. Yes. Who do you love to laugh the most with? Those are the people to hang out with, especially the next couple weeks. Yes. Watching comedies, comedic films that make you really laugh, or going out to see a comedian, or where you're the comedian bringing the joy and pleasure to those you love. Yes, the pleasure of gratitude that just feels good when you express gratitude and when you feel gratitude. And when you're generous and loving, it feels good. That's the kind of experience you're looking for in the next couple of weeks. Love is the redeemer. Pleasure is the redeemer. Art and music is the redeemer. And so if you're feeling down, Jupiter takes things back up to the heights through pleasure, through art, through music, through special kisses and special caresses and making sweet love with your lover. Yes. I think we did it. Take yourself out on a date night if you haven't been on one lately. And yes, I think that's it. It's been great. I'll be back. I'll say more when we get closer to the Thanksgiving portal there, I'll have an update. And I think I'm also gonna, there's other portals in the future, and I want to just give the astrologers out there, we'll go into my computer and we'll really look at what's coming in the next couple months, because we got an awesome Christmas portal and we're moving into a really epic portal of massive proportions. More on that later. Blessings, everyone. Blessings. If you like this video, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button. And if you're not a member of the channel, please subscribe and hit the notifications bell, because that'll tell you when there's a portal update. And yes, really appreciate those likes and shares. And tell me down in the comments below any responses, questions that you have to all this. Tell me especially the areas that you have the most joy and pleasure in your life and the intentions that you have going forward. Blessings, blessings.